In my book revision for Healing the Incest Wound, I just wrote about the fact that I think we don't look enough at what families do to family members, and we always assume, it's much easier to assume that it's stranger danger or it's somebody outside the family grouping, and yet the data are very, very categorical that the most dangerous people to children are their intimates, are their family members and their parents, and how complicated that makes it. And if you, if you get messages consistently or even inconsistently that you're no good or you're worthy of being abused, that's what gets acted out, because that's what's been voiced. I'm really taken by Jennifer Fried's betrayal trauma theory, and really think that there's a lot to be said for that in terms of with incestuous abuse in particular, but any kind of intimate abuse, that there is a significant betrayal. And once you realize that, that in and of itself is psychologically traumatic and traumatizing. So sometimes it's not exactly what happened, but with whom, by whom, and that it's often premeditated, that it's exploitive, that it's something the person is doing for their own needs without an empathy for the person that's being used or hurt. And all of those things have profound emotional impact. But I think we have to be careful too, because I get concerned that, and especially for male survivors, that they feel like if somebody hears they're a survivor, that automatically puts them on alert that they are an offender. And I think we need to keep making the distinction that you can have horrible abuse experiences and not ever offend against anybody. But when we look at offenders and violent offenders, they usually have a history of, oftentimes for men, as I understand it, very severe emotional abuse, often by their mothers, and then physical abuse, and then thirdly, sexual abuse. So it's not always that they've been sexually abused and they go off and abuse other people, but there is, if you look at it in the other direction, the people who are violent have themselves had a history of being misused and abused in some way.